Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video. Today we're going to go over probably a more controversial topic than I'm really kind of used to, but I think it's something that's been getting a lot of buzz lately, and I just want to go over it. So if you don't know what I'm talking about in the sense of taking life randomly or out of order or anything like that, we're going to talk about in this video what it is, people who are for, against it, and kind of why they're doing that. And I really want this video to have people just have their own opinions about it, and just really just make their own decisions. I'll go over what my opinions are throughout it, but I also want to make sure that it's there. I show the reasons why I do that, and but also give you guys the chance to make your own opinions. So before we start, real quick, I just want to clarify. My argument for, and I think a lot of people, and honestly, I feel like it gets misconstrued. The idea of taking cards out of life, out of order, is completely justified by the rules. It is not illegal in any sense, and it's not something I think people are harping on. In that sense, I think it's more of a question of, should it be legal? Is this something that we should have continuing in the card game, and whatnot? And honestly, I think the other thing is, I feel like people kind of pitch this as like, oh, people are just finding a reason to complain. But I honestly think it's something that should be addressed. And yeah, without further ado, let's just jump on into it. So what is this? What's the idea of taking your life out of order, right? There's no actual order, right? So I'm just gonna have 8 cards here, and we're gonna have them simulate our life with 8 of them, or four of them being kind of like hit cards you want, for example, and 4 of them being just dud cards from your life. Shoutouts to Cody's Yamcha deck that I'm just stealing these because they're really like the only things I have sleeved right now, but. I think these show a good idea of having a card that at least also just visibly is like, oh, these are shiny cards, right? You want these compared to these common trunks. But yeah, the idea is that we'll use these to simulate our life. We'll shuffle it like we're supposed to because we want it to be random. That's the idea for our life, and then we hand it to our opponent. They cut it, so there we go, and then we lay it out. And so I'd say like the life mechanic in this game is really interesting, but I feel like the way that there's no standardized way for you to have your life, right? You can lay it out like this if you want. You could lay it out like, you could do like 2. I've seen a lot of people do it like this, 4 rows of 2. You can do it like that. You can also like simply just have it all in one stack right here. That's fine. You can have it like this. This is usually what I like to do because it has 4 here, and then I can see how once this first row is gone, then I can awaken with the second row with conventional leaders, and that's usually how it goes for a lot of people. Those are kind of the standard way. So I'll just do it like this. Actually, no, I'll do it. I'll even do it like I'll just do it like this, where it's pretty obvious what the quote unquote order is because this card is on top of this card, right? Like this card is on top of every card to what it's based on which way you're facing to its right, and so on. So and so the idea is that, so we've got this list of cards, and then boom, so you can take this one next, and then you'll take this one, and you keep going from there, right? But hey, look, there's this secret rare that I want there, right? So this is a card that I really needed, right? This is an important card, and so the idea that people have is that, there's nothing stopping me from choosing any card randomly, so I'm just going to choose, and with the idea of no knowledge, people do like this. Oh, I'm going to choose this card here, and then I'll choose this card here, and then boom, look at that. I got 2 Kaiokens and a secret rare, right? That would have been a lot better through life than a Trunks and 1, right? You need these cards. So and that's the idea, right? You can change the outcome of your match because you get to randomly choose the cards that you want from it. And it does on the surface seem really trivial, and I totally get that. But the idea of being able to choose from these cards here is not the same. It's still random, right? The probability that for any of these cards that I shuffle, I'll shuffle it on camera. I shuffle these again. The idea that, if the secret rare is what you're really trying to search for, the secret rare is the same probability on any of these cards, right? The same probability for the card at the beginning and the card at the end. Sneaky card in the end are the same probability. The idea of you can choose where the secret rare is, and I think a lot of people have a lot of kind of doubts about this. So, but yeah, it's just the idea that oh, if the secret rare is this last card here, which it's not, but let's say it is. Let's say the secret rare is the last card in your life. People have the mentality of like, oh, it was already written that I could not get that card from my life because it was the last card, right? I'd never see it if I pick cards conventionally, and that's why I want to pick cards randomly. I always want to give myself the chance to have this card appear, and I totally get that, but that's honestly not how it works, and I want to jump into the probability of all this next. When people say that they prefer to take cards randomly and kind of explain the reasons why, the most common response I see is that they're luckier when they draw cards from their life randomly, right? They get the card they need more often when they're able to take cards randomly than doing that the other way. So that's I get why that idea is happening and why people are feeling that, but I think one of two things is going on when I hear that. One, that they have a bias of when they drew the card they really needed when they drew it randomly in the opportune moment. They remember that way more than the times when they just got kind of lackluster cards from picking randomly. Or two, they are getting cards better. They are pulling better, but that's because they're cheating, right? They have a knowledge of what's in there, and they're able to get the cards they need because of one way or the other. So I want to go over the first part here, where people will think that they are luckier when they do that. Okay, I wasn't originally going to do this segment, but I decided to because I wanted to. So if you don't care about the nitty-gritty math, just skip to the timestamp that's on the screen right now. So I'm going to call this the last secret rare fallacy, and it's based on this idea right here. It's strictly this idea here of where there is the secret rare is the last card in your life in order, and so people are like, oh, in this situation, there's no % chance that I can get the secret, right? And so we're going to be comparing of how that's really not true. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have 8 cards in life. We're going to assume that you are taking 7 cards, and so there's 1 card left in life. And what's the % chance in both situations of you getting the secret rare in a lot of senses? So if we look at this case. So let's just look in the ordered case in general. So this is going to be the ordered. So I'm going to type it here, ordered, with my terrible MS Paint handwriting. So for ordered. All right. So you've got these 7 spots here, and trust me, this is how probability works. Trust me, you have to, or you wouldn't be watching this video, right? So the idea is that you've got these 7 cards here, and it doesn't really matter what these order of cards matter. What really matters is that there are 8 potential spots of where this victory strike can be. It can be the first card, it can be the second card, it can be the third card, all the way down to the last card, right? There are 8 spots where this Broly can be, right? And each spot is weighted the exact same. So you have 8 spots. And so you've got, of these 8 spots, one of them is a spot that you would never see it. So 1, fail, and 7, pass. With the idea that, oh, if this was in any spot but the last one, and I take all 7 cards in my life, then I can get it, right? And so we can do the quick math right here. So the quick fraction is that, 7 out of 8 succeeds, so that's for pass. And then, which means that 1 in 8 spots are failure. And 7/8 plus 1/8 is equal to 1. So that's 100%. Boom. All right, so not an 8. So look, we did math. We did math correctly, right? So that's the math there. So you can quickly see that in this situation, 87.5% chance we will see the secret rare if we're doing that case. All right, so let's mix it up. So let's say we do have it like this. Actually, no, we're gonna flip it back. Let's say we have the secret rare in the back. And so when you are randomly taking cards from your life, the order does not matter of the cards. What matters is the order that you choose them in. And so the math now becomes, all right, what card am I choosing first? I'm going to choose this one, and I'm going to choose this one, and then I'm going to choose this one, and oh, I'm going to take the secret rare, and then I'm just going to finish it out with 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right, so there's the order. And so every time you take 7 random cards from your life, you're going to have 1 card left. And that's the most important card for this, for randomly taking your life, because you are essentially choosing which card you aren't taking. If all 7 cards, you chose this one specifically, this is the card that I'm not taking out of that 7 life. And so it's the same probability as there. So it doesn't matter where this location is. The idea is that every time you're at this junction of having 8 life and needing to take 7, you get to choose which card you're not taking. And so you have equal probability for each one of these cards for not being taken. So you've got a 1 in 8 chance that you choose this card to be the last one. You take a 1 in 8 chance for this one, a 1 in 8 here, and keep going down all the way down the line. And it's like that. Let's do it. So there are 7 cards for random. Just to make it make sense. So we've got 8 cards. And we've got 7 cards with pass and 1 card with fail, meaning the card we don't choose out of this whole list of cards we don't see. And then from there, we just have to, since they're all weighted balanced, right? With the idea that each one of these cards have the same amount of chance to be taken, there will be cases where, like strictly, like the object, or like the reverse of the opposite situation of where, I'm going to just take them randomly, but the first card in my life I'm going to keep there forever. There is a 1 in 8th chance that this card is the card you don't choose when doing that, right? It's the same thing. So you have a 7/8 chance of passing and 1/8 failing. So that's 7 plus 1 over 8, and that's 100% with my crude hand drawing. There we go. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. I could go more into it if people really want me to. And this is just one case of where, we take 7. So some people I could see saying, let's say it's like the fourth to last card of my life, and I take the first 4. If I would have taken them in order, then that means, I would not have seen the secret rare in the first half of my life, right? If I would have taken them randomly, I would have been able to see it. And it's the same thing, just extended on, of where, yes, in this specific situation, this Broly, you will not be able to find it. But there are 8 places where this can be, and 50% of them he will make it, and 50% of them he won't make it, right? That's the idea, right? And so being able to look at it like that and seeing that, the same kind of situation of where if I randomly choose 4 cards from here, there will be a 50% chance I don't find the Broly because it's just not in the 4 that I choose, right? And it's just because this is already an ordered list, or a random list, sorry. If you take them in an ordered fashion, you still, it's still randomized, even though it's not in, even though you take in just 1, 2, 3, 4. Since this should theoretically be randomized, it's still random when you take them in order. So there's that. Please, if you're confused, let me know. But that's just quick math of why it's the same, no matter which way you take it. What this really boils down to is that the probabilities are the same no matter where this Broly is for both methods. There's no statistical advantage for taking them either way. And just for every game that this is in the last card in your life and you didn't get it, there's another game where this was somewhere randomly in your life and you didn't get it because you chose randomly. It's the same probability, and that's how that honestly works. It's not, and like I can just see people already arguing that, well, if it was the first card of my life, what if I took the last card and then the first card, boom, it would have been the second card. Where this is arbitrary. It really is. It doesn't matter where this is. The most important thing is the order that happens, and you dictating the order or chance dictating the order doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where this is in the long run. there will be games 100%, and it's going to all even out. Where this is going to be the first card you get, it's going to be the last card you get. You're never going to see it because it's the last card you would have picked. That's strictly how it is. And honestly, that's a bit of a high level probability concept, but it's really I promise it's how it works out. And it's super hard to believe because I think there's a lot of bias going on. Once again, there will be situations where like strictly what I'm saying, and people will remember. Let's say you're down to 4 cards, right? You've got these 4, and you need to find your secret rare, right? There will be times where people, instead of taking their first life, are being, you know what, I'm going to take this last one, and boom, they get the Broly. Bam, they did it. Awesome. And they got the card they want. But there will be the exact same amount of situations where it will be the opposite, and you'll be like, oh, I'll take the back card. But if you would have taken the first card, you would have gotten the Broly. And but people will remember the time where they got the Broly more than the time where they didn't get the Broly, right? It's a smaller % chance for you to get the Broly anyways. So like you remember the amount of really good luck you had compared to a lot of cases of mediocre luck, right? And that's really why I feel that people believe in having this random luck, because they truly do believe that it betters their luck. But I really don't believe that that's the case. And if there was a better account and people kind of played hands more often and saw what cards they were, like if they truly took note of what cards they were getting and weren't getting based on going randomly, they'll find that it really evens out over time and it doesn't affect them for that. You can just keep doing like the one-time stories of where you're in finals and you got the secret rare, but that's not. But you can't forget the times when you're playing in Swiss where you didn't get the secret rare because you're doing this, and I think that really gets overlooked. So there's that, and so and that's why I think people have biases, because of one-time experiences where it helped them out, and not more of just experiences over time where they're not really taking account of that. So and then let's go into the second part where cheating is involved. All right, so let's talk about the fun subject of cheating, right? So before we start this, I really want to preface that I feel like a lot of people feel targeted when people say that you can cheat with this method, that people are cheating with it, and I don't think that's the case at all. But what I truly believe is that people can cheat with it, and it shouldn't be allowed because of that. It kind of like, if an analogy for me is that like if you remember going to like high school math, and at least when I was in math class, you'd have these tests where some of these, they'd have these calculators that you couldn't use. And the reason that you couldn't use them is because some people could cheat with them. Most people, I believe, would not cheat with them. But given the opportunity, some people could take advantage of this rule and use a calculator that was more powerful, was smarter than people needed them to be, and could just do the test for you, right? And I feel like this is one of these cases of where people aren't cheating with this by and large, and in no way am I calling out anyone who uses this method in any way. I hope you don't feel targeted in that sense. That's not what this video is for, but I think it does open up the avenue for cheating, and I think that gives it enough of a reason to get rid of it. So the idea that you can do, there's pretty much 2 ways, right? And the example I could think of is like, let's say you're using a Shenron leader. Let's say these trunks are Dragon Balls, so you take 2 Dragon Balls out. You see that, oh, you've got your Broly on top. Like, I'm going to shuffle here. Where's it at? Okay, cool, great. I'm going to lay out my life. Oh, take my first one. Boom, there it is. Oh, man, look at Eggman. He's a card shark for sure. But no, like, it's really easy to just dummy shuffle and just not shuffle it. And sure, you can have your opponent cut your deck and that kind of stuff. So and some other randomness, but the other more, I'd say, malicious way is that, okay, I'm going to shuffle these in front of you. I'm going to really shuffle these. I'm not going to even do this. I'm going to like even hodgepodge them together. There we go. And then I'm going to lay them out like so. There we go. All right, you see all these? See all these cards? Guess what? Broly's right here. Do you know why? Because I marked the sleeve. You can't even see it. You see that little dot? It's probably like a fuzz there. But from right here, no one sees it. Judges can't see it. Like, even comparing these, right? and I'm using like really solid sleeves, right? You can get like design cards, like design sleeves, like even like the sleeves from like the newest. Let me see. Do we even have any on me? Yeah, like let's say you have like one of these sleeves. Heck yeah, you can just like give something a difference, and they're really hard to distinguish from that kind of sense. It's something that I feel like is probably happening in some regard, and it's honestly, I think, is a really big problem in this game. And so being able to just do that and just know, oh, guess what? I can find the card because I know what they look like, because guess what? It's legal to just do this, have all 8 cards facing out. I'm going to shuffle this again, just so you guys can... that wasn't a fluke, that wasn't a 1 in 8 fluke. And I don't care like if I get deck checked for like the rest of the time for doing this, because I know that, oh, Egman knows how to mark cards because he owns a pen, right? I can do that kind of stuff. Just because I do that doesn't mean that I don't really care if I do that, but I just really want to show, oh, it's super easy to say, oh, hey, look, there's secret rare again, because guess what? I can see that little dot that I made. So it's not. I think it's just. And just people taking it out of order, it really does make it look suspicious like that. I'm not saying that people are, but I mean you can't help but think, oh, man, that's really lucky that the card they got from from their life was the card they wanted, and I think it just naturally makes suspicion. So there's all that, and that's really what I feel about it. I think it just is a really big avenue for cheating. I'm not calling out anyone. And I'm not saying that people who 100% use this technique of randomly choosing cards from your life are using it, but I am saying that some people can, and I think I really think that Bandai should do something about it in that regard. So let's just go to my conclusions. I think an overarching theme for this video is that we're all biased, right? And if you haven't caught on already, I am biased that we should have a new rule in this game to more dictate more of how you take your life in this. And once again, it's not illegal for doing it randomly in any way, and I'm not trying to make fun of people or make people feel bad for people who do, but I strongly stick by the arguments that I'm making, that there's just a lot of bad that can happen, right? And one of the biggest fundamental reasons to me why I feel like we should take it in order is let's look at the first couple minutes of any game, right? You've got a deck of 50, right? You shuffle, present to your opponent, they cut it. Look at 6. Let's see. Oh, let's see. I'll take those. There we go. I'll take those 3 cards, right? Put them back on top. Shuffle again. Real quick, show it to my opponent. They cut. And I really think your opponent's a really good way to I think they should be the last person to touch your deck or any area that needs shuffling, because I think the person whose deck it is, they can have a lot of information of what's going on, and they can have a little bit more of an edge, where your opponent should know nothing. And so when they I feel like it removes the bias from your opponent. Of course they want to win, right? So they want the worst card for you on top of their deck, but they have no way of knowing what that is, of what's in your hand. They don't have a way to know how to cut your deck optimally, right? It strictly is random in a lot of sense, and it does, I feel, randomize the deck properly, or any other area. So there we go. We've got 6 cards there, and then what do we do after that? We take the top 8 cards from our deck, and we make our life. And so the order that these cards are put here are dictated by you and your opponent already, and so they are strictly randomized. There's no making sure that they are randomized, but these are a randomized list. This is, in my opinion, this is already another deck of cards, right? And so I feel like this argument's made a lot, right? And so if you need to take cards randomly, this is already a randomized list of cards, so taking them from an order from a randomized list is still random. And that's a concept I think some people trip up on, of oh, I take them in order so they can't be random. No, it's still random because you don't know this order, right? This order is already randomized. It's just the steps of taking the randomized steps, right? And the same idea, right? here, right? So when you draw a card from your deck, it needs to, it's widely agreed that it's the top card from your deck you draw, right? And it's not like the middle card, right? Ooh, cool, I could have gone this Vegeta, right? This is already a randomized list of cards, and sometimes they're not, because like you can legally stack your cards with like time control trunks, which puts a card on top or bottom or not, but it's a specific order, right? The order for your deck matters, and so being able to take a card out of order for this deck is an illegal move, and I think that should go on to taking cards from your life, right? It's already a randomized list of cards, and so taking them randomly and is the same as taking them from in order, and I think that is a really solid argument for that. In a lot of cases, and it's like the same thing, right? And let's say we're in a Shenron leader, and so the idea that you can look through your drop area, or your life area, take a card, like let's say these are Dragon Balls, right? And you shuffle them, right? You present it to your opponent. They cut the order, but if they cut what's the point of them cutting and you shuffling if you just take them randomly anyways, right? It's already a randomized list. By shuffling them and cutting them, this is already another randomized list of cards, right? Taking them from any order outside of the 1 to 6 order is just doesn't make sense, and I don't feel like it's justified in any way. I think you're still fine. It's still a randomized list, and just the fact that you were it's the same thing, right? If you give your opponent your deck, they cut it, right, and then you draw from like the bottom card, right? Your opponent was the one who dictated that this is the next card you draw, right? And so drawing any other card from there, I feel like is in some sense cheating and is gaming the system. And so I feel like this would have been should you go to the life area as well. So that's my rant. I bet people have a lot of opinions about this, and I don't blame them. I think it's a kind of I understand why some people think this is just like a lame thing to argue about, but in my opinion, I think this makes a lot of difference. And I believe truly that it will be a good step for the game if there was a way to have a list of items to go down, right? And even like if we have to use like a dice to do it, like I'm totally fine with that. I don't think that a human should randomly choose. I think there are a lot of cases where a human is not randomly choosing and they are choosing the exact card they want, and I don't think that's healthy for the game. So that's going to be it for me. Let me know what you guys think. This is going to be probably a highly debatable thing, so no doubt a lot of opinions on that. So thank you guys for watching and for making it this far, and I'll catch you all next time.